Well, we're still in the book of Hebrews today, and we're coming to a very interesting chapter, chapter 11, which is called the faith chapter. And it's kind of a chapter about the people from the past who had put their faith in God. So let's read by faith. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for and conviction of things not seen. For by it the people of old received their commendation. By faith we understand that the universe was created by the Word of God, so that what is seen was not made of things that are visible. That's a good explanation of faith. By faith, Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, though which he had uh, commanded as righteousness, God commending him by accepting his gift, and through his faith, though he died, is still speaking. By faith, Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death, and he was not found because God had taken him. Now, before he was taken, he was commended as having pleased God, and without faith it is impossible to please him. For whatever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. By faith, Noah, being warned of God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverence fear constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he commended the world to become an heir of righteousness that comes by faith. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go to a place that he was to receive an inheritance, and he went out, not knowing where he was going. By faith, he went to live in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to a city that had a foundation, whose designer and builder is God. By faith, Sarah herself received power to conceive, even when she was past age, since she considered him faithful who had promised. Therefore, from one man, and him as good as dead, were born descendants, as many as the stars of heaven, and as many as the innumerable grains of sand by the seashore. Now these all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of that land from which they had gone out, they would have opportunity to return. But as it is, they desired a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to call them their God, for he has prepared for them a city. By faith, Abraham, when he was tested, offered Isaac, and he who had received the promise was in the act of offering up his only son, to whom it was said, through Isaac shall thy offspring be named. He considered that God was able to raise him from the dead. from which, figuratively speaking, he did receive him back. By faith, Isaac invoked future blessings on Jacob and Esau. By faith, Jacob, when dying, blessed each of his sons of Joseph, bowing in worship over the head of his staff. By faith, Joseph, at the end of his life, made mention of the exodus of the Israelis and the Israelites, and given direction concerning his bones. Now by faith Moses, when he was born, was hidden for 3 months by his parents, because they saw that the child was beautiful, and that they were not afraid of the king's edict. By faith Moses, when he was grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to be mistreated with his people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. By faith he left Egypt, and being afraid of the of the anger of the king, for endured as seeing him who is invisible. By faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of the blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn might not touch them. By faith people crossed the Red Sea on dry land, but the Egyptians, when they attempted to do the same, were drowned. By faith the wall of Jericho fell, after they had been encircled for 7 days. By faith Rahab the prostitute did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly welcome to the spies. And what more shall I say? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jethan, David, Samson, and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms and enforced justice, and obtained promise, stopping the mouth of lions, quenching the power of fire, escaping the edge of the sword, were made strong out of weakness, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Women received back the dead by the resurrection. Some were tortured, refusing to accept release, so that they might rise again to a better life. Others suffered mocking and flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawed in two, they were killed with the sword. They were about in skins and sheep and goats, destitute, afflicted, mistreated, of whom the world was not worthy, wandering about in deserts and mountains, and in dens and caves of the earth. And all these, through commands through their faith, did not receive what was promised, since God had provided something better for us, that apart from us they should not be made perfect. What a beautiful chapter. This ends the reading of chapter 11.